Midwest Talking Points. In our previous episodes, we have looked at a couple different campaign ads each week and given you our take on those ads. This week, instead, we're going to do something a little bit different and give you Ed and my take on the vice presidential debate, which was last week in St. Louis. And Ed was one of the lucky few who got in to see the debate.
I was. It was exciting to be there. Quite a who's who of St. Louis and national politicos. We missed you. I didn't see you there.
I wish I'd been there.
Yeah, it was. And, you know, it lived up to its billing. I think a lot of people watched it, probably the most ever. Mm-hmm. And the two candidates really, I think, both came across very strong in very different ways. Senator Biden had a lot of policy, kind of kept pounding on McCain and Bush. And Sarah Palin sort of delivered what can only be described as kind of herself and kind of brought herself back. I think exceeded expectations. Let's take a look at a clip that captures that.
So walk with me in my neighborhood. Go back to my old neighborhood in Claymont, an old steel town, or go up to Scranton with me. These people know the middle class has gotten the short end. The wealthy have done very well. Corporate America has been rewarded some time. We change it. Barack Obama will change it.
Governor. Say it ain't so, Joe. There you go again, pointing backwards again, though. You prefaced your whole comment with the Bush administration. Now, doggone it, let's look ahead and tell Americans what we have to plan to do for them in the future. You mentioned education, and I'm glad that you did. I know that education you are passionate about, and with your wife being a teacher for 30 years, and God bless her, her reward is in heaven, right?
Okay, well, here was a classic moment from the debate the other night. A part in the debate where Joe Biden is actually talking about some policy differences, or the lack thereof, between McCain and George Bush, and then Palin just sort of winks at the camera,
yeah, well,
and pivots.
And to be in the arena, you obviously couldn't see very clearly winking and all that. But I will tell you, even in the room, there was about 1,000 people. You sort of got a sense how she joked and how she sort of that aw shucks kind of thing, that it was working for her. I mean, the one thing I will say is that both candidates were themselves, and you could tell that, you could feel that. Joe Biden knows it all. Just ask him, he'll tell you. And Sarah Palin, that may not be her strength, but she likes to kind of turn a phrase and kind of keep on, and that came across really clearly. I think the one thing that Sarah Palin's expectations were so low for her, and I think she surpassed them, but I think we still came out of that with some people saying, well, Biden had so much substance, she had a lot more sort of charisma, and was there a deficit there?
Right, that the style over substance is a lot of what people are saying about Sarah Palin and her debate performance. There's no question that she's good with the camera, and she has that journalism background, which really comes through. Yeah. She can connect with people, and she's very attractive, very telegenic on camera. But I think people, when they want to know what she's for, and they know she's a heartbeat away from the presidency, they might feel a little more comfortable with Joe Biden and his real answers.
It's hard to sit in the debate and watch it, because I've never been to one. You're always watching on TV and sort of from far away wonder how people are going to react. And I think the crowd there certainly warmed to both. And I bet it was sort of split, but they both came across really well. And it was so exciting in many ways. You kind of walked out thinking everybody kind of won. It was really fun to be there. I'm sorry you weren't there. But
me too. But let's take a look at another clip.
Past his prologue, Grant. The issue is, how different is John McCain's policy going to be than George Bush's? I haven't heard anything yet. I haven't heard how his policy is going to be different on Iran than George Bush's. I haven't heard how his policy is going to be different with Israel than George Bush's. I haven't heard how his policy in Afghanistan is going to be different than George Bush's. I haven't heard how his policy in Pakistan is going to be different than George Bush's. It may be, but so far, it is the same as George Bush's, and you know where that policy has taken us.
Well, to me, that's classic Biden. He really does believe he knows everything, and he came up with a theme, and he really pounded it. And I think, you know, for some people that's persuasive. I get a little bit, you know, kind of tired of the shtick where he's a Scranton guy and all that, and now he's the guy who says the last 8 years are terrible. He's been in the Senate for 36 years, and, you know, he's been sort of at the rudder on a lot of these things. But I will say it was very effective. In the room, in the debate, you felt like he was on message and pounding away. You almost never heard him say anything without pulling Bush in, and that was pretty effective.
Well, I have to admit, there were parts of the debate when my eyes sort of glazed over while I was watching TV, but this was one of those moments where I was like, whoa, Joe Biden, way to go, man. He was just, you know, on this riff of, I can't see a difference. I haven't heard a difference between John McCain's policies and George Bush's policies when it comes to Pakistan, Afghanistan, you know, healthcare. He just goes on, and really that was baiting Sarah Palin to answer those questions, and I'm not sure we ever got clear answers on that in the debate.
Well, if your eyes glazed over when you're at home, I will tell you the room was so cold and they were concrete seats that it was really chilly by the end of 90 minutes. But I will tell you that I agree that Biden was really hitting on something there. The hard part was usually the message, and Barack Obama's message has been, look forward. I'm the change. I'm kind of the future, and it's going to be different and better. And I think that Sarah Palin was onto something when she was saying, you know, people don't want to look back, no matter what it was. On the other hand, I think Biden was a clever phrase, you know, passed his prologue, and he said, look, I'm going to set it up for you why we need change. And it was one of his better moments.
Right, I think it was, and I think, you know, Joe Biden also said in the debate that it's important to understand the past so we can correct the future in a way. And I think it's interesting to see, and it's not just the McCain-Palin campaign, it's both campaigns where they say, oh, let's not talk about the past, let's talk about the future. But the past is relevant, and we're going to hear more about it in the days ahead.
Well, and that's why you got to pick two Mavericks and just go charging forward with the Mavericks.
You betcha.
That's our show for this week. Thanks to Democratic nominee for Missouri State Treasurer Clint Zweifel for coming in, and also to St. Louis Post-Dispatch reporter Joe Manis for joining us here in the studio. And thank you for watching our show again this week. Remember, if you're a digital cable subscriber in St. Louis, you can watch the show whenever you want. Just go to On Demand on your television. Just choose Channel 1, select I Want More, and then Elections 08. You can watch us over and over again.
Thanks for watching. See you next week as the countdown to the election continues right here on Midwest Talking Points. Good night, everyone.
Good night.